So impressive PlayStation 6 super compression tech, and PlayStation 5 Pro is the only place to play 120 FPS for a major upcoming title. Those are the stories we're going to cover today, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. First, yes or no, do you have an expanded drive for your PlayStation 5 or not? We're going to be talking about how we could be saving on storage in the future, but for now, do you guys have an expanded drive, or do you just rely on what's inside your PlayStation 5 already? So comment below yes or no if you have an expanded storage for your PlayStation 5 or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, PlayStation 5 Pro, the only place for 120 FPS for a major upcoming title on consoles. Reading from Twisted Voxel, EA and Battlefield Studios' upcoming first-person shooter Battlefield 6 will target a frame rate of 60 FPS on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS. During an interview on the Tech & Co. YouTube channel, Florian Lee Behan, principal game designer at Battlefield Studios, was asked how the development team is ensuring that the upcoming first-person shooter runs well on both consoles and PC, with all of its environmental destruction happening in real time. In response, he said the optimization has been one of the most important things for the studio during the development of Battlefield 6. According to Florian, the team at Battlefield Studios is making sure it's not just a visually stunning game, but also one that runs smoothly across all configurations, whether on PC or on Xbox Series XS and PlayStation 5 consoles. As such, the development team put a lot of effort into optimizing the game, which has resulted in a guaranteed 60 FPS performance profile for all consoles and even higher on PC. Furthermore, he mentioned that the frame rate on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS can go also above 60 FPS when running on Battlefield 6 in its performance mode. So this is very exciting stuff, because considering what we've seen in terms of destruction capabilities with the realism aspect and how good the destruction looks, it's great to know that 60 FPS locked is a baseline here for the game. They're also able to go beyond 60 FPS on consoles, which was mentioned in the article, of course, but actual targets weren't mentioned in this article, but they were mentioned by testers. Over on Reddit, we have user BSOD_gaming who broke down performance during their Battlefield Labs testing, so this could very much improve before launch. For consoles, they state PlayStation 5 and Series X target 60 FPS for fidelity, which is of course great to hear. For performance, the results range from 65 to 90 FPS on the base console, so PS5 and Series X, while on PlayStation 5 Pro, the performance mode there ranges from 90 to 120 FPS. Of course, VRR will also play a role here to improve the experience, but based off this information, the PlayStation 5 Pro looks to be the best place to play Battlefield 6 on consoles, which makes sense, of course, since it's the most powerful console on the market right now. I'm hoping when we get the beta, we see more stable FPS results, and obviously by launch, we want it to run even smoother. We'll see how this goes, and if you're enjoying the video so far, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community on our way to 150,000 subscribers. Now, diving into the second story of the video, impressive new PlayStation 6 super compression tech. So, a recently published patent from PlayStation focused on reducing game sizes on your drive is out, and it has some pretty impressive tech if it manages to make its way to actually being implemented. Reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, as video game visual fidelity increases, so too does the file size. Although it's great that games like Call of Duty or Death Stranding 2 on the beach continue to push the graphical boundaries of current gen hardware, the PlayStation 5 in this case, it's not great to have to worry about a console's storage as we draw close to the PlayStation 6, which will surely push graphical possibilities. There is a concern that 100GB installs will become even more regular than they are already. However, according to a new patent, this may not be as big of an issue as initially perceived. According to a recent patent filed by Sony, the company is attempting to find a new method of reducing game game sizes. In the simplest terms, Sony claims that using intermediate files to render an image rather than directly accessing the textures could lower file sizes. In its examples, it references SVG, scalable vector graphics files, to portray its claims. However, this method can be considered for any format that offers efficient data storage and the ability to reference textures. An intermediate file such as an SVG, which is used to access portions of textures, can be provided in any suitable format. While not indicative of any particular format, it is considered that any format which is capable of carrying such information in an efficient manner would be appropriate for implementing the teachings of the present disclosure. In the patent's description, Sony discusses how the amount of data needed to run a game has significantly increased over the years, stating that developers were required to optimize or compress content heavily or omit content altogether, which is definitely not favorable. This invention hopes to alleviate those woes and potentially decrease file sizes by the time PlayStation 6 rolls around. So I looked into this a bit, and it's pretty interesting if it works the way I understood it to work. Of course, the patent is out there if you want to look at it yourself. It's called Image Rendering System and Method. So if you have any corrections, of course, let me know in the comments. The idea is, instead of loading textures, we provide the instructions and the tools necessary to build those textures. So say you have 15 jackets, 20 basketballs, and 3 bananas to render, and each of these could potentially use similar paint as an example of what I'm trying to get across here. So this yellow paint can be used for the bananas, 3 of the basketballs, and 5 of the jackets. You have the instructions and the paint necessary to build out those textures for those items in real time, as opposed to just loading them from the drive. So kind of having the building blocks of textures and combining that with the instructions to build out those actual textures to get the final result. No more storing textures for everything bloating up the size of games, but rather having the instructions and the building blocks needed to build those textures there available for the system. For me though, I'm curious how this works, because do developers need to implement something, or is this something Sony can convert games to support, or how would this actually be implemented in the end? Because this is at the core basis of how games are stored. It's exciting because imagine if you don't have to download 100 gigabytes of a game, but rather download 50 gigabytes, for example, reducing the size heavily. Or imagine improvements to loading time, which are already fast, of course, but with this, you'd even load less information or less textures, I would assume, because you just have the information there and the building blocks, and you can just render it in real time. Interesting potential if it actually happens and it actually works the way I'm understanding it to work. But you guys let me know if this makes sense to you or not, so we can discuss it further in the comments if needed. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. As always, helps to subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is a part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with Bring On the Power. Obviously, this is in reference to the PlayStation 6 and what's to come next. If this tech actually gets implemented like we're hearing here, potentially, this could be something revolutionary, but I don't know how it's actually going to work. We'll see how this plays out, but if you guys are hyped for what's next, destroy the comment section with Bring On the Power, and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.